أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد وانتشت.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Okay, so in front of us we have two sections from the Qur'an, and they're word for word identical, except for the conjunction, as you can see. Here we have the waw, and here is the thumma. This verse here is in Surah Al-A'raf, and this verse here is in Surah Al-Zumar. So we'll explore these two verses, and we'll explain to you why different conjunctions were used. So let's begin with the first verse. So this is the verse in Surah Al-A'raf. It says, هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وجعل منها زوجها. So it is He who created you from one soul, referring to Adam alayhi salam, and created from it its mate. And then it mentions the reason for doing this, ليسكن إليها. In order, it says here, that he might dwell in security with her. ليسكن, it actually also means to find tranquility and relaxation. So this is the purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions of creating the spouse. Now in this verse, I want to actually draw your attention to the difference between this min and this one here. This min here is used for al-ibtida' al-ghaya, which means originally from. So when it says khalaqakum, from, originally from nafsin wahida, this is our origins. Our origins are from this nafs, Adam alayhi salam. وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا. This min here actually is a different type of min. It actually means specifically from. So it's called min at-tab'idiyya, which is the min of a part of something. So this zawj, or this mate, was created from this nafs wahid. So just that's something to note with the min here. It has a different meaning, this one here and this one here. But anyway, the point to note is, this is a direct address to us. خَلَقَكُمْ, that He created you. And He created us from مِن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا لِيَسْكُنَ إِلَيْهَا. That this is connecting between the first two creations. And it's actually highlighting this marriage relationship. And then it's actually talking about it in general terms for all couples. And this part here, what actually follows after, not referring to Adam and Hawa alayhim salam, is actually referring to any couple, and it mentions a particular phenomenon among human beings. But the point to note is that the context of the surah indicates this marriage relationship, which is a bond between a man and a woman. And notice that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this bond, the dual pronouns are used to indicate this close relationship. So you notice there's 4 places where the dual is mentioned. I've actually highlighted them. And although these are both plural as well, there is no specific dual form for these. So they do indicate duality. So you notice that there's a connection between these two. خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ وَجَعَلَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا. It's quite appropriate that waw was used. No other particle could have been used there. Now one could say, well, maybe you could use the fa. No, you can't, because it's talking about خَلَقَكُم. He created you from nafsin wahida. So it's talking about our creation from this particular soul. And then it's talking about the creation of Hawa, Eve alayhi salam. So obviously she was created before we were created. So this is not talking about tartib zamani. It's not talking about order in respect to time, because this was before this. But it's actually joining the nafs واحدة to جعل منها زوجها ليسكن إليها. Just finally, one other point I want to mention about this verse, and this is something actually found throughout the Qur'an, is the way it talks about the physical relationship between a man and a woman. The language it uses it's not very explicit. It's very subtle. When it actually mentions this relationship here in this verse, it says فَلَمَّا تَغَشَّاهَا, when he covers her, she carries a light burden, referring to the baby she's carrying. So this is actually found throughout the Qur'an, is that the language that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses for these sensitive matters is very subtle. It does it in a way where there's no embarrassment for the person reading it, and it does it in a way where it is understood as well. So it's not just completely ambiguous, but actually does it in a very beautiful way, and takes into consideration the innate nature of human beings and the attribute of modesty that they have. Okay, so this verse says خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ ثُمَّ جَعَلَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا. So the difference is the thumma. So we have a question, is why was thumma used? What was the reason? So it's actually used to highlight the great dissimilarity of how we were created from Adam and how Eve alayhi salam was created. So that's what thumma does. It separates them in order to highlight the great difference between these two creations. So we created you from a single person, then created of its like nature, its mate. Here the word then is used. And then it says وَأَنزَلَ لَكُم مِّنَ الْأَنْعَامِ ثَمَانِيَةَ أَزْوَاجٍ, or he has sent down to you 8 head of cattle in pairs. So this is talking about the livestock and how he actually made this submissive to us. But the point to note about the context is why this difference was mentioned between our creation from Adam and Hawa's creation from Adam. It says, he makes you in the wombs of your mother in stages, one after another, in 3 veils of darkness. So this is talking about how each and every one of us is created in the womb of our own mother. But notice, there was actually one creation that was not created this particular way. And who was it? You got it. It was Eve alayhi salam, Hawa alayhi salam. She was created from Adam, directly from Adam alayhi salam. So it was quite appropriate to mention her creation separately. And the context actually is referring to creation. It's not talking about the man and the woman as marital partners. The context is about creation. So appropriately, she got a separate mention. So as we can see, what the wow does, it actually joins these two together. Into one. And this is the marital relationship. On the other hand, we saw the opposite happening here. There was a separation to indicate the difference in nature of these two creations. وصلى الله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.
أشرقت نفسي بنور من فؤادي حينما رددت يا رب العباد.